Hello and welcome to Dad Got This, where we answer the tough questions like, how do you smoke baby back ribs on a Kamado Joe using their slow roller if you've never used a slow roller before and this is your third cook on a Kamado Joe? And why don't ribs ever get stranded on the side of the road? The second one's easy, because they always have a spare rib. This video is brought to you by Kamado Joe. Thanks, Kamado Joe. So I've only ever done 2 cooks on my Kamado Joe so far. I did my burn-in cook where I did my chicken, and then this weekend I hosted some friends over the house and I did some picanha steaks, some chicken, a little bit of shrimp. Everything came out fantastic, but neither of those cooks did I use the slow roller on. And that is something completely new and foreign to me. So we are going to help turn our Kamado Joe into a smoker using their slow roller accessory. So let's go ahead and grab the slow roller and take a look at what it is. This is the Kamado Joe Slow Roller. It comes in 3 pieces. A big bottom ring that's going to sit inside your grill, and then you have a top ring that sits inset on there, and then you have a metal baffle that sits right up there. And by putting this in the bottom of the grill and not using the normal heat deflector plates, it supposedly promotes like a smoke convex kind of thing going on. There are a few things you need to know with your slow roller. It's stamped right on here. Do not exceed 500 degrees Fahrenheit / 260 degrees Celsius. So you're not supposed to be cooking hot and fast on this thing. This is a low and slow setup. So that's why it's going to be perfect for our baby back ribs. Let's go stick it in the grill where it's supposed to be and get our grill lit. This is my Kamado Joe Big Joe Series 3, and that's what we're going to cook these ribs on. As you can see, I still have some charcoal in here from my last cook. Let's knock it down a little bit and throw some fresh charcoal on there. I'm using some big block charcoal from Kamado Joe. To light the grill, I'm gonna use one of these little propane torches. Mine is really old and really rusty, and the igniter even came out, so I have to use a lighter. I need to get a new one of these. Usually a couple minutes, 2 minutes or 3 minutes or so, just until they get white and ashy and there's a glowing burning section. That's usually enough to keep it lit, at least the 2 times I've done it so far. Now, we're gonna throw our slow roller in there. Invest in a good pair of high heat gloves. I'll throw a link down to these ones, I like these. It's because that way you don't burn yourself when you're doing this. We're gonna put the first piece in, and then goes piece number 2. Hello. And I'm gonna wait to throw this guy in there because I wanna throw my wood in after the temperature has stabilized a little bit, and this blocks you being able to put the wood in. I don't wanna deal with this if it's super hot. So we're gonna wait a little bit. We'll close this down, let it come up to temp. Future Dad here from the editing bay. At this point, I noticed I put the slow roller together incorrectly. So do not put the slow roller together the way I just did. Put it together this way.
The mistake I made was I put my slow roller on top of that piece that I just removed, the divide and conquer rack. The base of the slow roller is supposed to go directly down on top of the ceramic firebox. Then you put the divide and conquer rack on there, and it actually has little notches that fit right into the slow roller base. But just missed that on totally. Then the second piece for the slow roller goes in. Then you put in your top for the slow roller. That's all done. Now you can put in your X accessory thing across the top there, and then you put in your cooking grates. That is the correct way to assemble the slow roller inside your Kamado Joe, not the way that I did it. And that caused some issues, which you're going to see here in a minute. This is correct. The way I did it before, incorrect. Thank you.
This is going to raise your food further from the heat, giving it better protection and not ending up with the problem that I had at the end. Stay tuned to see what happened. The way you control heat on these Kamado Joes is there's 2 vents. There's one on the bottom and one on the top. So I'm gonna set the bottom vent, the inlet, to 1 finger, and I'm gonna set the top one to just a little bit on the first notch because I don't want this to get up too hot. While that's coming up to temp, we got some time to prep our baby back ribs. These are some baby back ribs. I always do St. Louis or spare ribs, but I decided I wanted to do baby backs. I haven't done them in a long time. So it's about 7¼ pounds of baby back ribs because I have the giant grill. So why not cook a bunch of ribs? First thing we'll do is we'll get it out of this vac bag. Now, my ribs are a little bit frozen still. They didn't defrost all the way, but I think we'll be okay by the time we're done messing with them and getting the grill up to heat and everything. I think they should cool down, warm up, defrost, do something enough where they'll be fine. Dry them off a little bit. They're actually not that wet because they were semi-frozen. The membrane on the back. People obsess about this. You got to take it off. You don't take it off. Doesn't matter. I usually score them, and I've never, ever had anyone complain about my ribs. And I make ribs quite often. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a knife, and I'm going to cross-hatch across all this membrane like that. And you're going to be absolutely fine. It's a lot easier than dealing with trying to remove it. One of the nice things about baby back ribs is they're pretty much already prepped. There's nothing you really have to do to them. You don't have to really trim them down or anything. Just take them out of the bag and cook them. Let's season them up. The next controversial topic on ribs is binder or no binder. I've done both. And honestly, it usually doesn't really matter. So sometimes I use a binder and sometimes I don't. The top side of these is the presentation side. So we're going to flip these over. We'll hit this with a little bit of that mustard. You don't really need to season the back sides that much, but I like to do it. I may be wasting my time. And you know what? Just because my hands are already mustardy and this bottle's going away, after today, it's empty. We'll just mustard up both sides before a glove switch. For this cook, I'm going really traditional. This is a Kinder's SPG, salt, pepper, garlic rub. It's very basic. I just wanted to see how this cooker works. I don't want to do anything crazy with the ribs. So I just want to make some good old-fashioned ribs. Now, when you're seasoning, always season from up high. I know it makes a mess, but you're going to get the best coverage that way. And like I said, you don't need to worry about being super heavy on the backside. I just like to do it to give it a little bit of flavor back there. Figure it can't hurt, right? But don't waste a lot of your rub. Now we're going to go ahead and flip them. We're going to hit them heavy on this side. This is your eaten side, so we want this side to get it good. I think that's going to be good as far as the rub goes. Now we just got to wait for the Kamado to come up to temp, throw in our smoking wood, and get everything assembled. With the Kamado Joe, you want to let it stabilize a little bit before you really start your cook. This has been about 25 minutes. They say between 20 and 45 minutes. This has been rocking at 300 for a little while now. So I think it's time to add our wood and get everything else in there so we can get going on our cook. I'm going to use some apple chunks. Let's go throw them in the smoker. Grill, cooker. It's now a smoker. As you can see, I got like 4 or 5 good chunks of wood in there. We'll throw the top on, get our cooking grates in there. Now, I've seen some people who put their smoking wood under the charcoal. I'm gonna have to try that in another cook, but this is the way I've always done it, where I just put the wood on top. I'll see how well that works out. We're gonna let this stabilize again for like another 15, 20 minutes. Let that dirty smoke blow out, and then we'll get the ribs on. It's been about 15 minutes. The cooker's at around 250. Let's go ahead and throw these on. I'll see you guys in, I don't know, we'll check them in an hour, see how they look in an hour. All right, it's been about an hour. There's a lot of extra smoke coming out of there, so I'm a little bit concerned. Temperature still says 300, but let's go check on those ribs.
At this point, I just thought there was way too much smoke coming out of this thing, so I decided to take it apart and see what was going on, and yeah, way too much smoke. I think I put way too much smoking wood in here. It all caught on fire. I even had to try to like pull one of them out of there with a set of tongs and get it out of the grill just to get this thing to calm down.
Okay, wow. That was not good. Even holding that top part with high heat gloves was almost unbearable. I barely made it to my pellet grill to stick it on top there so it could sit somewhere. I guess I put too big of a chunk of wood, too much wood. I should have buried the wood. I'm going to need to do more research on this. So I knocked it down a little bit. The smoke looks a lot better, but I think that flare up and everything has caused the temps to be a little bit higher than it was actually reading, because those ribs are really far along for only being like an hour and 15 minutes into the cook. The one's pretty floppy at the back, and the one in the front, a little less flop, but it's already reading over 140. Normally you wrap your ribs at like 150, 160, but as fast as these are cooking, I don't think I'm going to need to wrap these ribs. So we'll check back on them in about an hour, and hopefully there's no issues. You guys said you wanted to see everything. Failures, good stuff, bad stuff. I told you, I'm trying to learn this grill. It's my third cook and my very first cook with the SlōRoller ever. So you guys get to learn with me. We are coming right up on an hour since we last looked at these. As you can see, I moved the grill out from in my patio area out to a little bit back in my covered porch area. Upon reading the manual, I noticed it said you really shouldn't use it under an overhang. So I moved it back out into the screened portion of my patio so it's not in a confined area. They say that's safer, so safety first. Let's check on these ribs. I will say they look solid. 200. Oh my God, they're probing so tender. These do not need a wrap. We'll give them the official rib test. All right, those need more time. Those are almost ready. When cooking ribs, I always go by the bend test, where if you pick them up halfway, the rib should kind of bend over really easily. Not break, but do a really nice flop. These aren't quite floppy yet, so we're gonna let them go for at least maybe another 30, 45 minutes. We'll sauce them, we'll glaze them, and then they should be good to rest and test. These ribs have been on there just shy of 3 hours. I'm almost positive these are gonna be ready to glaze by how far along they were before. But let's give them a look. We got some nice pullback. Nice and floppy there. Oh yeah. Say those are ready for a glaze. For our glaze, I'm just gonna use some barbecue sauce. You can use any barbecue sauce you like, or you can make your own barbecue sauces like I normally do, but I wanted to keep this simple, so I'm gonna use some Sweet Baby Ray's hickory and brown sugar, and then we're gonna thin it out with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. You don't want it too thick. You want it to kind of be a little bit runny and then tack up as it cooks. And we are just gonna brush this on there. We'll close that down, and I'm gonna open up the bottom vent back to 1 finger, and I'm gonna open the top vent up to about 1 1/4, because I wanna kick the heat up a little bit to really get this glaze to be nice and sticky and solid on there. We'll let these go for about 30 minutes, and we'll give them a look. It's been about 30 minutes since we glazed these ribs. Let's take a look at them. The temp has been reading about 350, which is right where I wanted it. I gotta say, the controlling of the temperatures on this grill is so much easier than I thought it was gonna be. I was worried that it was gonna be hard to just like get something to a temperature and maintain it and nail it. It's actually the simplest charcoal grill that I have ever used as far as maintaining temperatures. The 2 little vent system, perfect. Move your vents, and then it just holds. It is so steady. Enough of me talking about that, but let's go see how these ribs look. Oh man, I gotta say they look fantastic. As far as looks go, these to me are a 10 out of 10. We're gonna let these rest for probably about 15, maybe 25 minutes. Let them come down in temperature right now because they are blazingly hot. Now, to shut down your Kamado Joe, it's really easy. Just close both vents. So we're gonna close this bottom vent all the way. close this top vent all the way, and that's gonna deprive it of oxygen. You deprive it of oxygen, it's gonna go out. And the nice thing is you can just kind of let that charcoal sit in there and it's ready for the next cook. Just pour more charcoal on it like I did last time. I live in Florida and it's really humid. That old charcoal sat out there for a couple days, poured right on top of it, still lit just fine. All right, we're gonna wait for these. I don't wanna wait. I wanna eat them right now, but you gotta wait. Wait. I let these rest for about 15 minutes, and I think that's all I can do. Let's slice into them. Say this is the prettier rack. I like to slice my ribs upside down. They seem a little crispy on the bottom. That has me concerned. These might have gone way too hot and way too fast. We'll see. We'll take one of these middle guys. Not bad. It's got a decent smoke ring on it. Let's see if it's juicy. Oh, it's juicy. As you can see, I got a perfect off the bone bite. That's a pretty good rib, but I think I have some things I can improve. I would definitely not use the binder. I still have mustard on here. Maybe I did my binder a little heavy. So next time I would skip the binder, and I think I might actually do some spritzing or some wrapping to kind of steam them a little bit and get the bottom part to be a little bit more tender, because my bottom part of my rib is a little bit crispy and not so tender shreddy. For a first attempt at ribs on a brand new cooker that I've never used, I'm pretty happy with it. Please do the likey subscribe stuff. YouTube loves it when you leave a like and leave a comment. I answer just about every comment in my comment section. And if you really want to support this channel, consider becoming a member. Members get 24-hour early access to videos, shout outs, producer credits, all kinds of fun stuff. They also get updates so they know what's coming before you know what's coming. If you'd like to pick up a Kamado Joe, or maybe know where I got this cutting board, or a bunch of other information, I'm going to throw a bunch of links down in the description. Some of them are affiliate links. If you use them, it helps me out, and I appreciate it. Well, I guess that only leaves one question left to answer. What's a rib's favorite TV show? Game of Bones. Dad may tell horrible dad jokes, cook some pretty passable ribs on a cooker he's only used 3 times, but there's one thing Dad will never do, and that's an outro. So, bye.
This episode of Dad Got This was brought to you by our producers. Thank you very much.